Ben Vitale. Chris Petras.
Here.
Paul Pickney.
Here.
Aileen McNabb Coleman. Keith Batman.
Here.
Joe DeForest.
Here.
Charlie Ripley.
Present.
Joseph Bennett.
Here.
Elaine Daly. Pat Mahonick.
Here.
Tim P. Lattimore.
Here.
Michael Didio.
Here.
Ryan Foley.
Present.
Tucker Whitman.
Here. We'll all stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing. This is on a local law amending local law number 4 of 1992, changing the term of office from 4 years to 2 years for the Cayuga County legislators, running from the term beginning January 1st, 2022, and changing the term limit for legislators from 3 terms to 3 full elected 4-year terms.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to grant the privilege of the floor to Mr. Rigby. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Fellow legislators, thank you very much. I appreciate this. I'd just like to make a couple of quick comments on the local law that's just been announced. We had some concern over the language that was proposed initially for term limits, because according to this local law, term limits also have to be addressed. And we had a significant part in creating the term limit law a number of years ago. And I like the way, I just wanted to comment and say I just reviewed the local law, the way it's being proposed with regard to term limits. I like the wording. It's very simple, it's very direct, and it should prevent most of the loopholes that some people might be inclined to take. And I approve of the way that this has been handled. And I'd like to say thank you pretty much to the legislators for grappling with this, and also to the county attorney, Chris Palermo, for dealing with it as well. So, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Brenda, if you'd like to come up, we'll do the proclamations.
Senior Citizens Month in Cayuga County, May 2019. Whereas Cayuga County includes a growing number of elder Americans who enrich our community through their diverse life experiences, and where Cayuga County is committed to strengthening our community by connecting with and supporting elder adults, their families, and caregivers, and acknowledging their many valuable contributions to society. And whereas Cayuga County recognizes the importance of bringing together all generations and engaging in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being for the benefit of all. And whereas Cayuga County can enhance the lives of elder Americans in our community by promoting home and community-based services that create independent living, and connecting with elder adults by involving them in community events of all types, and provides opportunities for elderly persons to contribute with their work, volunteering, and continued learning as they lead and mentor. Now therefore be it resolved that Tucker Whitman, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, and fellow legislators do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as Cayuga County Senior Citizens Month. I urge every citizen to take time this month to acknowledge elder adults and the people who serve and support them as essential and valued members of our community. Senior Nutrition Program Volunteers Day, May 28, 2019. The Cayuga County Office for the Aging includes a senior nutrition program in which home-delivered meals are a part. The home-delivered meals program includes many volunteers who deserve to be recognized, and the home-delivered meals volunteers, drivers, and assistants alike provide a vital and critical service to elderly and disabled persons of Cayuga County who are at significant risk for hunger and isolation. The home-delivered meals volunteers are the backbone of this program and deliver not only food, but also caring concern and attention to the welfare of some of Cayuga County's frailest residents. And the volunteers for the home-delivered meals program provides nutritious meals to seniors throughout the county that help them to maintain their health, thereby preventing possible falls, hospitalization, and or premature institutionalization. The volunteers of the home-delivered meals program of Cayuga County deserve recognition for their contributions that they have made and will continue to make in the future. Tucker Whitman, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, and fellow legislators, do hereby proclaim May 28, 2019 as Cayuga County Home Delivered Volunteer Day. I encourage all citizens to take time today and every day to thank the volunteers of our Home Delivered Meals program for their most valuable and selfless contribution to our community.
Thank you very much for that recognition. We would like to, I'd like to say a few extra words about our home-delivered meal volunteers. This proclamation gives such an excellent idea of what they do, but it really is hard to imagine how dedicated our home-delivered meal drivers are, showing up every day, for some, every week, all year long. They deliver in the dead of winter and in the high heat of summer, and our isolated, frail seniors count on them for a friendly hello with each delivery. We were very fortunate this year to have Sheriff Brian Skane and Town of Victory Supervisor Mike Wiggins and Fairhaven Town Board Member Hope Wachowitz, I'm saying that right, join us for deliveries on our most southern and rural routes, and northern rural routes during the March for Meals Week. And they were able to see firsthand how this program makes an impact for seniors most in need throughout the county. I can't emphasize enough what a huge role our volunteers play in this vital service and how much we appreciate all that they do. We have a hard time convincing these dedicated individuals to come and be recognized at the meeting here with everyone today. But fortunately, Mary Ellen Perry has come as a representative of the group, and we'd like her to come forward this time. Mary Ellen, for your dedication as a volunteer delivery driver for the Senior Nutrition Home Delivered Meal Program in 2019. We thank you. So we have a couple of people to recognize today as Senior Citizens of the Year. First up is Pat Messina of Auburn, who was nominated by the City of Auburn RSVP program. Pat is known to many in Auburn, and probably many in this room, since she was a teacher at the Herman Ave School for 35 years. After retiring, she started a whirlwind of volunteer activities. And funny enough, one of the first things she did was go back to the classroom. For almost 18 years, she has volunteered in the kindergarten classroom at Owasco Elementary every Wednesday, where she reads, shares stories, and helps with writing. She also works with students at BOCES every year for spring cleanup and planting bulbs in the fall. For the past year, she has worked with Genesee Elementary 4th graders, teaching them to sew. She has been involved with Habitat for Humanity, helping to build 4 houses. A recent effort included working with a group of women to create 4 quilts that were given to the most recent new homeowner. Speaking of quilts, Pat is a creator extraordinaire. She knits, she sews and crochets, making prayer shawls and sensory mitts for seniors in need. She makes numerous quilts for ill children through a program called Project Blindness, and contributes to the annual hat, mitten, and scarf distribution at Genesee Elementary. As a special project, she and her quilting friends created unique quilts for every funeral director in Auburn that may be used to thoughtfully drape the body of a deceased loved one as they begin their journey to their final resting place. Pat is on the board of the Ward O'Hara Agricultural Museum, where she volunteers in many capacities, including donning the clothes of an 18th century schoolmarm and sharing old-time school and recess activities with visitors, young and old alike. She has long been active in her church, where she says, "There is almost nothing that I haven't done." She helps with monthly Red Cross blood drives, providing much appreciated homemade goodies for the donors. And she has been a friend of the Seymour Library and has served on their board of trustees for 12 years. As an active RSVP program volunteer, Pat has logged over 1,144 hours of volunteer service in the past 14 years. She states, "I am a worker bee. I identify needs and do what needs to be done. Volunteering helps me grow and meet new people." And for all these reasons and more, Pat Messina is a 2019 Senior Citizen of the Year. Betty Walowski to come up. Paul Pinckney will be presenting her award. So Betty Walowski of Auburn was nominated by Peggy Lattimore. Betty is originally from Syracuse and states that growing up, her parents were always involved in their community, very active in church, and served as scout leaders. Betty moved to Auburn with her children in 1969 and worked as a bookkeeper and customer service specialist in several area companies. She has put her job and life skills to good work in various community programs since her retirement almost 20 years ago. One of her long-term community connections is with the Merry-Go-Round Playhouse. Apparently, she normally has a Merry-Go-Round Playhouse hat. Couldn't locate it to wear today, right? She started out helping with the box office just in the summer, but that grew to being involved year-round as needed. She is able to reach New Yorkers far and wide when she volunteers at the Empire State Theater and the Musical Instrument Museum at the State Fair. So if you've never visited that part of the State Fair, that's something that you should take a look at. She serves as a greeter and at the refreshment table to help promote the museum and the antique Wurlitzer organ there, where they often will have experts in organ playing come as guest performers. Betty has volunteered with the Red Cross for at least 18 years through blood drives at the Methodist Church on South Street. In addition, she has been a longtime participant in their church's Old Time Fair. She volunteers with the Youth Lunch Program at Casey Park in the summer and during school breaks. Once a month, she helps to cook and pack supper meals for 150 individuals served by the Salvation Army. In addition, she is a regular participant in the making of pierogies and babka at St. Nicholas Church, and she is well known for her chocolate cakes following the monthly performances of ARC's FAME program. Betty was active in the VFW prior to the loss of her spouse 4 years ago, but she remains a lifetime member and is supportive of the organization, noting that her son is a career Air Force veteran. She recently joined the Weedsport Museum, helping with receptions and other activities, and looks forward to serving in that capacity. Betty enjoys a wide variety of volunteer activities, crediting her family and friends with helping her make connections where help is needed. She says she likes to be busy and follows her interests to stay active and involved in serving the community. And for all these reasons and more, Betty Walowski is a 2019 Senior Citizen of the Year.
Thank you, Brenda. And thank you to all our seniors. You do a lot and it goes unnoticed on a daily basis. It's one of my favorite meetings of the year. We're going to have a 20-minute break now for refreshments, and then we will do our full meeting after that. Thank you.
I can be your senior.
I want to give thanks to those in the audience who have served our country. Thank you very much. It's my privilege to be able to present a synopsis on the council, our mission, and some of our goals. So what is the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council? We are a 501c3 nonprofit development corporation, and we are intermunicipal, meaning we have representation from towns within the watershed. Our mission is to coordinate actions that protect and restore the watershed for the sake of a healthy lake water resource. So why is it a watershed issue? Why aren't we the Owasco Lake Management Council? Why are we the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council? So leading scientists have indicated that our water pollution problems are overarchingly non-point source driven, meaning they have to do with land use practices within the watershed. Okay? So from a protection angle, we're seeking compliance with a rules and regulations document that has already been set forth. This document states that no pollution shall be discharged into any water course within the watershed. We are currently working on a rewrite of this document. We hope to see that will gain traction with the state and will be approved by the state. From a restoration angle, we're looking to support restorative work. This includes planning for nutrient reductions throughout the watershed and proper planning to enhance soil stability with erosion and sediment control practices that can enhance resiliency within the watershed for the issues we have during large storms. Our inspection division was formerly known as the Watershed Inspection Program, conducts inspections that are based on the rules and regulations document. We also are seeking buy-in. So right now, most of the representation we have for the council is on the northern end of the watershed. And if you look at a watershed map, most of the land area within the watershed that actually contributes water to the lake is on the southern end. So we're trying to elicit more buy-in from communities in the southern end of the watershed. So as part of that initiative, I urge everyone who may live in a town that does not currently have representation on the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council to ask for that representation. I think as we have a greater voice and more people who are interested in making improvements with the water pollution issues that we experience on this lake, that we will have more capacity to seek and to be granted funding. Okay. I also urge the legislature to help us be creative with program funding and support our watershed programs. Support for water quality is imperative for the health of the lake and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments?
Move them.
Communications and announcements?
Waive the reading.
Mr. Durant was not available to be here today. I think we all have his report. On the appointments and reappointments? All in favor of the appointments and reappointments? Any opposed? Committee reports and individual legislators' reports. Elaine.
I just wanted to mention that on May 21st at Cayuga Community College, a Workforce Development 101 for employees was held that I attended, recognizing the unemployment rate in Cayuga County at less than 4% and a number of our local employers are in need of qualified workers. I'd like to recognize the collaboration between CETA, Workforce Career Center, Cayuga Works Career Center, and Cayuga Community College. They brought a panel of 11 workforce development resource providers together to let area businesses know what actions they might be able to take to help in this effort. For those businesses that were not in attendance at that meeting, this whole presentation would be available by going to the CETA website and linking onto it. It was extremely informative and very worthwhile.
Mr. Didio.
Thank you. Upcoming event, June 21st, is the Intercounty Association of Western New York. And Cayuga County is one of 19 members. We are hosting the meeting in June 21st at the Springside. Any further questions or interest, you can contact me or any of the legislators or the deputy clerks. And I remind the legislators anyway that if you could possibly find a door prize donation for us, so we're in need of that. I'd like to continue with last month, or the month of May, I'm sorry, that we did have our meeting at Canisius Lake. And I'm just going to mention a couple of things that Canisius Lake does for their watershed. It's only 7 miles long, but it's inclusive of the same problems that Owasco Lake watershed and all the other lakes across the state experience. And there's heavy work being done on agricultural and rural affairs. They're working on economic development, finance, and I've heard the watershed council director mention finance, and they're also looking for that particular piece. We're all in the same boat, and your help for the upcoming inter-county meeting would be giantly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Didio. Any other legislators?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lattimore.
on the recommendation of Pat Mahunik, who was with me at the graduation the other day, I was very short with my words of wisdom to the graduating class, so that went well. I just want to say that yesterday we had the Memorial Day Parade, and it was very well attended. Mr. Didio, Mr. Pinckney, and myself were participating, and it went well. I don't think we had any accidents, even though Mr. Didio was driving.
Did you get checked?
Anyways, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
And you didn't march with, I didn't see you. I was a little late. My grandchildren were a little late getting there. It was nice that you were there.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. County Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few updates. As you know, you've been very involved in the briefings up north, but for everybody else's benefit, or situational update, the water levels at Lake Ontario continue to rise. They are expected sometime this week to meet or exceed the 2017 levels. We're as prepared as we can be. We've been working with the town and village over there with our deputy coordinators, DPW, planning, and 911, county attorney's office, and I assisting the local communities with drafting emergency orders. The no wake zone is still in effect. So the sandbagging operation the Sheriff's Department has supported and is back operating today. And it's been an all hands on deck approach to making sure that we're prepared, but it's running as smoothly as can be, especially given our current staffing situation. Overall, the office is continuing to meet our demands. It's a struggle, but we're doing so, and hopefully that's affecting a couple of different departments, and there's a couple of resolutions on your agenda today to appoint department heads in human resources and in emergency management. Actually, just one for human resources. Emergency management was tabled to the legislature. I hope my memos over the weekend answered any questions you have, and I can certainly answer any questions when those resolutions are addressed, but I hope you'll give those due consideration, especially as far as emergency management. The current situation isn't sustainable. We have a couple other things to brief you on in executive session when we get there. CAPUSA is moving forward, or the planning department is moving forward with reviewing the RFPs for the strategic plan for CAPUSA. We had great participation in reviewing the submissions, and we're optimistic about what that product can result in. Several of the legislators attended the county highway superintendent's meeting with our new highway team and public works team, and I thought that resolved some questions that were lingering and has allowed them to move forward in a positive way. The compensation consultants were here last week. There were some questions about some of that process, and we're continuing to iron that out and build a larger team of department heads to inform that process. But that project continues to move forward. And we have identified, I sent you a memo at the end of last week. We've identified a candidate for purchasing that we would consider moving forward with, but I wanted to make sure that the legislature was still on board with going down that path before we did. Candidate, and if you'd like information about the particulars of the candidate's qualifications, we could go into executive session to discuss those. But overall, it's a candidate who could support the operation regardless of the path we went, either working with Onondaga or not. So I think it's a great prospective candidate, and one that we're excited to present to you. A couple other updates. The shared service panels will kick back off next month. We've got to save the date out there for the middle of June, and I'll make sure you all get that information. I think it's been announced, but I just wanted to confirm with you that Ann Kubarek is retiring next month. And next month, we haven't started the interviewing process for that for her replacement yet. So next month we anticipate bringing a resolution to reappoint her or to request authorization to hire her back on a part-time basis until we find her replacement. And an administrative assistant that is temporarily assisting the Emergency Management Office has also announced her retirement, and we'd like to bring her back on a part-time basis until we finish staffing out the office. Those are the updates that I had for you this month, and happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, as Vice Chairman, I just wanted to say that since we're here at Emerson Park, one of the complaints I hear from people who are using the playground, and I was hoping maybe, well, not today, but an update on the master plan in regards to the playground equipment is in disrepair over here. So I was hoping that maybe the first piece could be the new playground. I know the city has upgraded a lot of theirs. Maybe we can do a shared service with some of their people that are working on their playgrounds. Thank you.
We'll get that update together for you, Mr. Lattimore.
Mr. Foley.
Justin, I read all three of your memos in regards to the purchasing director, EMO, and HR director. In that, within that, each of those reports, you made remarks regarding the compensation study that some of the salaries are based on. The legislature approved the compensation study earlier this year, and you're making some acknowledgments of that study and some references to the numbers that are within it, but we haven't seen a completed draft yet. And when will that be presented to us?
I don't know the answer to that question. We'll get an updated timeline for you. We haven't received a draft. We've only gone through the first draft of the job descriptions, and the full market study for all the positions haven't been done. But at the start of the process, knowing that we had these upcoming vacancies, I asked the consultant to look at 4 or 5 positions that we knew we were going to be filling and do market surveys on those. So I had that data available. But now we're going through the process of reviewing job descriptions and getting input from the department heads to make sure that the comparisons we use for the market data are the right comparisons. So it would be really easy to say these are the similar sized counties, and so then therefore those are the counties we should use. But we also want to go a little deeper into that analysis to make sure that, for example, we're comparing them to the same job duties. So if we're one of only 5 counties in the country, in the state, that has both a DSS and mental health under the same umbrella, then it maybe wouldn't make sense to look at counties that are structured differently. So the surveys that were used for the 5 vacant ones were quick surveys. They used the peer data that was identified as comparison benchmark counties in the CGR report. And I did make sure to put each of those data into the authorization to fill request because I wanted you to have the data that we had at the time.
Anybody else have questions? No, we'll move along. Chairman's report. There's been a few things consuming my time lately. One of them has been the flooding, a lot of back and forth between the state, Justin, our mayor in the north. Really, it's going a lot better than it did in 2017, even though we're at the same or higher levels right now. We have more rain coming, but we were definitely a lot more prepared this time. That helped. And just a heads up, I got contacted the other day by somebody looking to do a solar project in the north end of the county. I think I'll pass that off to planning in Cayuga. I'll send them your way. See if you guys give them a hand. That's really all I have for right now. If you guys got any questions for me, you're welcome to ask them. I probably won't have an answer, but you can ask. Now, we'll move along into the resolutions. Ways and means.
Mr. Chairman, we have regular monthly resolutions, 1A and 1B. They've been through committee. I would ask for your approval.
Any discussion? All in favor?
1C was amended, and we will have an executive session about that. WN 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I would offer as a bundle.
Move it. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Number 6, it shows that these tables that way.
I am sorry. 6 should not be included in that bundle.
So what are the numbers?
So WN 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8.
Sorry.
Do we have any discussion on those? All in favor of those? Any opposed? That's carried.
WM5, we changed today. The only thing we did was change the wording, authorizing the Cayuga County Civil Service Commission to fill the human resource administrative positions. I believe it's on everybody's table. Just changing the verbiage there to show who the appointing authority is.
Move it. Second.
Mr. Dennison.
Made a motion to table.
I'll second.
Is there a second on the motion to table? From Charlie.
If I may, question, point of order. Table to what? To committee, to the next legislative?
I don't think we need to table it to anywhere.
Said either to your next meeting or you could refer it, a motion to refer it back to the committee, whatever. In this case, the word table would normally signify that you're basically putting it off.
Okay. So to our next ledge meeting. Is that-
We didn't hear a word Chris said.
Yes.
I said normally when you table, it's tabled to the next meeting of the body that tabled the resolution. The intent is to refer it to a subcommittee for further consideration. I'm not sure what the intent of that was.
Okay, so motion to table it to the next meeting then for discussion.
Second for Charlie, Mr. Mahunik.
So I would just like to point out that this position was, the interview process, it truly is a civil service appointment, not a county appointment. They went through the process and they found the person that they feel is the right person to be in that position.
Mr. Foley.
I'm not exactly sure the intent of tabling or why there was no reason given. As someone that sat on the hiring commission for the HR director, it went through a full process, as Legislator Mahunik alluded to. That included 2 legislators, civil service commissioners, county staff. We found a great candidate. Justin has brought them in for discussions, negotiated a salary. It's gone through committee, passed unanimously at Ways. Now we're going to get here and attempt to table it. I think it's a reckless move if it's indeed tabled. It sends a bad impression to our county staff, including department heads, that we are willing to yank the rug out from underneath them at the last moment. And if you talk with any of the county staff, you know that everyone utilizes HR within the departments. We need to get it filled, and it needs to be done today. And I will be voting against tabling this position. Thank you.
Mr. Dennison.
Well, you just brought up a little while ago about the whole salary thing, so if you want a reason, that's why I want to table it, because of the whole salary discussion.
Mr. Pinckney.
Call the question.
Question has been called. All in favor of tabling? Aye.
Raise your hands.
Gonna do a roll call vote. This is in favor of tabling.
Keith Dennison,
Yes.
Ben Vitale,
Yes.
Chris Petras,
Yes.
Paul Pickney,
No.
Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
No.
Joe DeForest,
No.
Charlie Ripley,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
No.
Elaine Daly,
No.
Pat Mahonik,
No.
Tim Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
No.
Brian Foley,
No.
Tucker Whitman.
Yes.
Passed.
It's tabled. Mr. Mahonik.
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing else to offer.
Thank you. What's that? Health and Human Services.
Mr. Chairman, I may be unclear, but we passed the amendment. We didn't vote the resolution.
We tabled it, didn't we?
Okay.
WM9 was tabled to this meeting. Do we want to do anything with it?
As I mentioned, WM9 was tabled, and we were going to go to an executive session. We had some information that was passed along to us from the administrator. So at this point, I would push that until after executive session.
Try Health and Human again.
Okay, Health and Human Services had 5 resolutions. They've gone through all committees. They've been supported in those committees. I asked to move them as a group or a bundle.
Move it. Second.
Any discussion on the bundle? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Government Operations.
Mr. Chairman, Government Operations has 2 resolutions that went through committee, and I would offer this body.
Move it.
Second.
Point of whatever.
Yeah.
The resolution 1 is actually a little long document.
Yeah, we can't.
Until we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Well, we can, yeah. Is there anyone here to speak on the local law? If not, I would like to close the public hearing. Okay.
Now I'd like to offer 1 and 2 as a bundle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion on PO 1 or 2? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Planning.
Mr. Chairman, planning has 2 resolutions before you. Both have been through committee, and I'd like to offer as a bundle.
Move it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Works had 7 resolutions. I'd like to offer them up as a bundle unless anybody would like to separate these.
2 was amended at Wade. Is that good on one?
That amendment is just moving some money with
Right.
what you're doing by separate on that.
Any discussion on any of that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Judicial and Public Safety.
Mr. Chairman, Judicial and Public Safety has 4 resolutions. They've all been through committee, and I would offer them as a bundle.
Any discussion on those? Was there a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. One thing I'd like to bring up, there was a last-minute resolution. I think you all have copies of it. Didn't know if anybody was inclined to move on that.
Move it.
Second.
Jim Orman, do you want to speak to this since you're here? Or?
Yeah, this is something that was brought forth for reasons that I can't fathom, and I think Kelly probably feels the same way.
You want to use the mic?
Yeah, Jim.
I can just repeat what you said. Come on, Jim. You can just repeat everything you said.
This was brought forth by what we consider some inexperienced legislators at the state level. And it obviously was brought forward for discussion in the House and the Senate without any kind of regard for the counties. And in effect, I won't go on. In effect, they are trying to change our foreclosure rules. And one of the things they would do is eliminate the 5% penalty on unpaid delinquents, which would cost us about $230,000 annually, and reduce any kind of incentive to pay your taxes. They also would have you pay your the oldest tax first, which is the lowest usually. So you're never going to go into foreclosure. So it just wasn't well thought out. And the counties across New York State are currently in a rush to get this through. Some have already voted on a similar resolution. Some are about to in the next couple of weeks because they're afraid that the people that propose this will push it through before the session ends, which is next month. So I apologize for trying to get it through, but Jenny did yeoman's work to put this together Friday afternoon, and we reviewed it over the weekend, and Kelly reviewed it. If you have anything other than that to add, feel free. But we're just asking for your support to join the other counties. Thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Chair, I'll just add the other reason for bringing the resolution late is that the session of the legislature is scheduled to close before your next meeting. So this would be your last opportunity to weigh in on the record for the law, for the proposed law.
We have a first and a second. Is there any more discussion on this resolution? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's carried. Mr. Pinckney.
Mr. Chairman, back to Public Works. Do we have a first and a second on that?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, I'm going to refer to legal on what I'm about to do. I don't know if I can clump all this in one. I would entertain a motion for an executive session for employment history of a particular person, contract negotiations, and also real estate, however we want to word that, negotiations. Okay. Not particularly in that order.
Mr. Chairman, before we go in, some information just came to me in regards to the timeliness of, I know that Mr. Dennison wanted to table the HR. I'm thinking that the candidate that we had is excellent, and we might want to not lose that particular talent. So I think I want to change my vote at this time. That's possible? Or is it too late?
It's not on the table anymore, Mr. Lattimore. It's been voted on.
All right.
Any legislator can bring a resolution to the floor. I would like to bring WM5, the resolution appointing Human Resources Administrator.
With a motion you can, I don't think Mr. Mahoney, I can't look at the board, I don't see your voting longer, but I think if Mr. Lattimore voted yes originally, I think he is able to bring it back. Mr. Mahoney, I don't remember how you voted, but I'm thinking you can.
Okay, if you want to bring something, I think so. First,
with the information that I have now, I think the timeliness of this particular hire is important.
Right, we need a second on Mr. Lattimore's. Does it need to be from somebody that voted against it previously?
I don't believe so.
The chairs are parliamentarians, so you rule, and that's the way it is.
That's what I've been trying to tell you for a while.
On this particular issue.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Lattimore, we have a second from Mr. Mahoney. We'd like to have discussion on this.
And I appreciate Mr. Dennison's concern about our hiring practices, but I think that this particular position and the candidates that have applied, the timeliness of going another month might discourage the hire.
Okay, Mr. Foley.
Yeah, just to quickly address Legislator Dennison's concerns about the salary. It was called the table before, or motion to call the question before I got to respond to that. I don't know what happened in the Republican caucus, but in the Democratic caucus, I brought forward the number that was agreed upon and well thought out and discussed. So if any of the Democrats that are voting upon it, on the $75,000 number, that they don't like it, it was already hashed out. And you know, I sat on it with the legislator Bennett, and he had his own figure as well. And so to now come back the day of and say we don't like the number, there is just something wrong here. I don't get it. We need to fill the position. I know it was already voted down, but or a motion tabled, but you know, please reconsider your vote so we can move at least this position forward. It's one of several in the county that we have to get filled to continue our operations. Thanks.
Anyone else on the motion to table? Did we make a motion to that? All right, so this is on the resolution. Charlie.
Part of the resolution is one of the results there. Hold on, Charlie. But another part of this.
Somebody turn it on for me.
Another part of this resolution is the vacation time, which is part of the discussion to come. This is the part that additionally bothers me that we need to discuss further.
The reason for that was the candidate has a commitment for the summer, and that was what they were asking for in order to be able to meet that commitment.
This is not part of the, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but this vacation time is not commensurate to the rest of what we've all been discussing. This is a step beyond from what I see. We're negotiating this part without full legislature approval.
Mr. DeForest.
Are we discussing the table for the resolution?
The resolution is the way I understand it.
So we're going to need to vote now.
There's no more than you bring any resolution to. There was a motion from a limited number of people that can bring that particular motion. The actual floor is the second. Now you're discussing the resolution itself.
Call the question, please.
Thank you.
All in favor again? Yeah, we'll do a roll call. Of WM5.
Is this to take it off the table, just for a point of clarification?
This is no, we are voting on the resolution again to authorizing the Cayuga County Civil Service Commission to fill the Human Resources Administrator position in the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service Commission due to a retirement, and to set the salary of the newly appointed Human Resources Administrator. So, all in favor, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Andy Dennison?
No.
Ben Vitale?
No.
Chris Petras?
No.
Paul Pickney?
Yes.
Eileen McNabb Coleman?
No.
Keith Beckman?
Yes.
Joe DeForest?
Yes.
Charlie Ripley?
No.
Joe Bennett?
Yes.
Elaine Daly?
Yes.
Pat Mahoney?
Yes.
Tim Lattimore?
Yes.
Michael Didio?
Yes.
Ryan Foley?
Yes.
Tucker Whitman?
No.
Passed.
Okay. That's passed. Nobody would like to bring that back for a third vote. We could move on to the executive session. Anybody would like to make that motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are going to go across the hall for executive session. I'm going to invite in the county administrator for the first few things on our list. Okay, I'd like to call the regular meeting back to order. Any other business to come before us? Mr. Mahuna.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to bring back regular monthly resolution 1C, which was amended at Ways and Means. I would like to bring it back in its original form to pay the bill of $1,733.33.
Move it. Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Boston.